Half an hour later, Jaden's assistant arrived. He was a young man in his 20s, with slightly curled hair and a bright smile. He was not surprised to see me, and he said sweetly, "Natalie, I've brought the clothes over." My face was slightly hot. I took the clothes stiffly and suddenly felt that something was wrong. I turned my head and asked Jaden, "Where's Caleb? Did you change your assistant?" Jaden lifted his eyes and nodded placidly, humming a nonchalant response as he did so. On the other hand, a strange look flitted across his assistant's face when he heard the name. "Caleb, Natalie. You know that Caleb's." He paused in the middle of his sentence and scratched his head. A worried look crossed his visage. It was as if there was something he could not say. I frowned slightly. I did not know Caleb Zenos very well. All I remembered was that he had fair skin, big eyes, and an above-average appearance. As a normal person, he looked better than many celebrities in the industry. Jaden had always taken good care of Caleb, so why did he suddenly change his assistant? I opened my mouth and was about to ask when Jaden's phone rang. Jaden looked at the name on the screen and hung up. A few seconds later, the phone rang again. This time, Jaden frowned. I stole a glance at his phone screen and saw the name, Shiana Sanchez. My vision paused on the screen. Shiana Sanchez. Obviously, that was a woman's name. Could she be his girlfriend? My body stiffened again. Answer it. Maybe there's something important. After the phone rang several times, I urged him to answer it as if I was not bothered, but my face gradually turned pale. Jaden froze for a moment. He looked at me with his deep eyes and said, "Okay." I looked down. After a while, I saw Jaden answering the call. The room was very quiet, and a delicate and whimpering female voice rang out. I could hear her crystal clear. "Jaden, you finally answered my call." "Jaden," she addressed him intimately. I took a deep breath and closed my eyes. When I came back to my senses, I noticed Jaden's dark and unfathomable gaze. It turned out that he had finished making the phone call. Jaden looked at me apologetically. "Natalie, I'm sorry. There might be something I have to deal with later." In other words, he was driving me away. My heart trembled. Although I intended to leave, I still felt a chill in my heart when I heard Jaden utter the words to drive me away. "I'll take my leave right away." I quickly wiped the corners of my eyes and turned around to leave, but Jaden's voice came from behind. "Wait!" I sniffled and grinned. I knew he was reluctant to let me leave. Then, Jaden's cold and steady voice traveled through the air and into my ears. "Have a safe trip, Natalie." My smile froze. Jaden seemed to realize something was amiss, so he quickly explained, "Be careful on the road. Take care. Don't be caught by the paparazzi." And he paused for a moment as if he was thinking about his words before continuing. "After returning home, remember to prepare for the audition for Mr. Campbell's new series a week later." I was completely stunned. I turned my head and looked at him in disbelief. I could not figure out what he was thinking. He was obviously jealous when he asked about what Quaid and I did last night. But now he was pretending to be classy and asked me to prepare for his rival's audition. What a hypocrite he was. At that thought, an idea suddenly popped up in my mind. The colors began to drain from my face as I pursed my lips. Could it be? Could it be that after Jaden finished making that call, he suddenly woke up and decided to get rid of me and devote himself to his girlfriend? Perhaps he wanted to take advantage of the audition and send me to Quaid? Jaden sent me out and arranged for his assistant to drive me home. Sitting in the back seat of the car, my body stiffened suddenly. There was a faint smell of jasmine in the car. It smelled exactly the same as the scent on Jaden last night. Back in my apartment, I did not contact my assistant or agent immediately. It was useless to contact them. My agent had several artists who had full schedules and did not have time to care about me. As for my assistant, I did not have any friends in the circle. Only my assistant had a good relationship with me. However, long before I went abroad, I heard that her parents were ill, so I gave her a long holiday. Thus, I had to do everything by myself, including sourcing resources, image maintenance, arranging for food, clothing, housing, transportation, and other daily matters. It took me a week to memorize the lines of the whole script, and I carefully studied the characters over and over again to seize the hard-earned opportunity. It could be said that I was determined to get the role of the heroine in Bewitching Concubine. I devoted myself to the script and was so busy that I did not even have time to eat. But then I realized something. Jaden did not contact me throughout the entire week. It seemed like he was really going to cut ties with me completely the night before the audition. I stayed up all night reading the script. When it was almost dawn, I lay on the couch and took a quick nap. In a daze, I had another dream. I vaguely recall having dreamt about what happened to Jaden, Eunice, and me while we were in the same film crew a year ago. In my dream, I was lying on the chair as I read the script, seeing that Jaden had come to save the day. I was so shocked that my hand trembled and the script fell to the ground with a thud. I hurriedly squatted down to pick up the script. At that moment, a slender and pale hand suddenly appeared in front of me and picked the script up first. I seemed to have felt a cold sensation brushing past my fingertips. My body stiffened slightly, and I raised my eyes. Jaden was dressed in a white shirt and black trousers. He had wide shoulders and a narrow waist. With a single glance, I could tell that he had an excellent figure. However, the neckline of the shirt was tightly buttoned. He had a cold expression plastered on his visage. While his gaze appeared cold and reserved, there was a seductive but restrained air about him. He was looking at me with those deep and dark eyes of his. "I thought you wouldn't come." Eunice came over and tossed us a meaningful glance. Jaden held the script in one hand, while his other hand was in his pocket. He glanced at Eunice lazily and said nothing. Unbothered, Eunice turned to look at me. "This is Natalie, who I told you about before." Then, he raised his eyebrows at Jaden and questioned the latter. "Well, I'm right, aren't I? Natalie is even more beautiful in real life." My heart skipped a beat, and I subconsciously wanted to see the expression on Jaden's face. Unfortunately, Jaden was expressionless. He ignored Eunice's words and slowly swept his gaze across the script. Then, he handed it to me. His tone was indifferent when he uttered, "I've seen your acting in monochrome. It's great. Compared to drama series, you are more suitable to act in movies." My heart skipped a beat. Monochrome was my first and only movie. I played a blind girl who was trapped in darkness and mire but tried to pursue the light. It was a tense literary film with little popularity. I did not expect Jaden to have seen it. I was inexplicably emotional. I lowered my eyelids, took the script from him, and said in a low voice, "Thank you." When I first asked him to come, this guy hung up the phone before I finished speaking. Eunice's eyes darted between us. His gaze was meaningful, and it seemed like he was determined to match-make us to the end. Later, I sent him a message on WhatsApp, saying that you'd be acting opposite him. Guess what, Natalie? He came in less than 10 minutes. Hearing this, I looked up at Jaden. "Natalie." Jaden's face was still devoid of emotions. He merely gave Eunice a warning look before fixing his gaze on me. "Please don't have the wrong idea." I lowered my eyes, my lips moving slightly. "Okay, I won't." Jaden seemed to be at a loss for words. He looked at me and then turned to Eunice, who was watching us. He switched the topic. "Mr. Reyes is having a birthday party next Wednesday. Come with me." Eunice came back to his senses from watching the dramatic scene unfold in front of him. His expression became slightly stiff, and he refused. "I'm not going." I looked at Eunice and instantly came to a realization. Eunice used to be the leading actor for the internationally acclaimed director, Simon. His acting came naturally to him, and because of that, he won many awards. However, Eunice had a strange hobby. Every time he got the Best Actor award, he would reward himself by playing a bossy CEO in a drama series. Simon was so angry as he thought that Eunice did not cherish his opportunities. If it went on, Eunice would gradually lose his appeal. However, Eunice was also stubborn. He did not want to listen to Simon and wanted to do things his own way. In the end, the two went their separate ways unhappily and refused to greet one another when they bumped into each other. Jaden raised his eyebrows. Just as he was about to say something, Eunice interrupted him. "Wait a minute." Eunice frowned. "You promised to do this not because of Natalie, but because you want me to go to Simon's party. Am I right?" I was stunned. Jaden glanced at him and said, "You're not too stupid." It turned out that I had misunderstood him earlier. When I woke up, I was in a daze and spacing out while hugging a pillow. It seemed that even my dreams were implying something to me. Whether it was a year ago or now, it seemed that it was me who had misunderstood.